Welcome back to the second episode of All Tre Phases. Last week we talked about the Falcons' red zone offense, and I left on one note that I thought was really important, and that was saying that Michael Penix Jr.'s legs were going to be the biggest difference this year when looking at the Falcons' red zone offense. And not only did Penix show us how effective he can be on the ground in the red zone, but we saw it pop up throughout the game. Multiple first down conversions, only ran when he needed to, right? Like, he wasn't taking off. He obviously wants to survey the entire field before making that decision, but he will make that decision. And even though the Falcons did not get the win this past Sunday, they still saw a lot of good from their young quarterback. And we're going to break it down here today on All Tre Phases. Well, first up, we're going to talk about Penix's longest run of the day. And something that I want you to pay attention to when we go through this play is to watch his eye level. Pay attention, look and see if you think he's peeking down or looking up. The goal here is, as he goes through the play, is that he wants to be able to navigate and always keep his eyes downfield. And you're going to see that Penix does a really good job of that. And so as the play develops, pressure is coming in. And again, we're not looking down. We're not taking our eyes off of our reads. We're going to take a nice side shuffle, and we're going to keep this ball in play for as long as we can. Didn't see what he liked, and now he feels all this space in front of him, and he takes off. And so, this is kind of one of the things when we talk about Michael Penix and the things that people say about him, they go off of what they have seen from his highlight film, what they have seen from, even just the volume stats. And that is that he doesn't put up a lot of rushing stats. Even in this game, he only had 21 net yards at the end of the day, but it is when he decides to take off that's critical. This was his longest run of the day. This was good for a first down. Keeping the drive alive, moving the chains when you don't see anything there. This is doing just enough to be a threat in the run game. And again, you just like, how he goes through everything. Calm, cool, and collected. A nice side shuffle. Doesn't take his eye off. And when it's time to go, he goes. Stumbles a little bit out the gate, but, some of the best horse races do. It's no big deal. Looking at this next play, I think this is when you really see him show off the strength. And this is kind of what I was talking about when I mentioned the word sack avoidance. Penix, it's pretty demoralizing when a quarterback's able to slip away, and you're going to see him do that here. And so, again, he does a good job initially. Eyes are downfield. There's nothing to be worried about yet, but, everything that he does at the start of this is great. Pulls the ball in as he feels pressure. You can see it's just a blur, but this arm coming into frame, he felt that. So he was going to protect the football here. Shrink, get small. Again, keeps a very strong base. He's not doing anything over the top. He's not overreacting when something happens. He sits down, keeps his eyes downfield the entire time, throws the ball away. And this is what you like to see right here. Just demoralized, right? Sure, it's an incomplete pass, but these guys wanted that sack, and that's going to eat at them. And, it's something that is going to make them remember that they have to respect the rushing ability of this quarterback. And, I don't think that Tampa really did. And we saw in the final minutes, what Penix was able to do. And so, again, this play, what I think I like the most here, and you're going to see it, I know I paused it at an awkward spot, but he does a really good job of pulling that ball back into his body to protect it before he decides to make a decision. Feels that rush coming in, right? And it was very subtle. It's very hard to see here, but he's going to turn his shoulders enough and use his arm to get that pass rusher away, and that's all upper body. And this is when, Penix can show off the arm while showing off, the core strength and the sack avoidance. That is a rope to Casey Washington. Again, for a first down, not rushing for one, but avoiding the sack, keeping the play alive, moving things down the field. Penix just did such a good job. And again, the core strength of this player is, I think, severely underrated. And maybe that's why a lot of people didn't necessarily project him having the effect that he can have with his legs. And we're going to see again here that everything he does is with a plan, under control. We're not panicking, and the eyes are downfield until the very last second. I mean, he does not, he runs to pass. He does not run to scramble, because again, we're getting our feet tripped up. Most quarterbacks here, they're bailing immediately. They're not even going to look. But I'd love to see that he has enough patience and enough wherewithal to realize that, when defenses see a guy go down like that, look at all the eyes that immediately shot back towards him on this play. If he does have a guy who has the opportunity to peel off and get open here, that's the right thing to do. That's not able to happen right here, but that's okay. He scrambles, slides, protects himself, gets the first down. This to me was the most impressive rushing play. The touchdown, which we're going to get to, is sweet, but this was special, and we're going to see off the bat that's not good. It's never good when your blindside tackle is immediately has his butt on the ground, and there's really hardly any contact made there. So unfortunately, off the jump, Penix is going to be dealing with some pressure, and we're going to see here that he obviously feels that, and it's not just coming from there. This entire left side just really caved in. Lindstrom is looking down here. He has no idea how that happened to Wilkins so quickly. I thought the Falcons at times, struggled a little with dealing with the Buccaneers pass rush. They didn't run a stunt here, which is what they had most issues with. But again, Penix immediately does not waste time, rolls out into space. Eyes are downfield, so we're holding the defense with our eyes as much as possible here, because we're at a very short down in distance. We're holding this guy here. London does a good job of posting up to kind of influence this defender as much as he can to stay here. Bijan's doing what he can, and this just kind of speaks to the gravity of this player, that he's a running back and he's got two guys worried about him. And Penix really, is set up so that he has to beat this man to the spot. And you see that this defender pulls off. I think that the reason that he mainly, pulls up like this is just due to how quarterbacks are protected. Penix, I think it's really smart to dive forward here. If you slide back, the ball stops wherever, you are when you lean and give up on the play. Stretches, reaches out. This is just a freaky athletic play, in my opinion. And he's shown that he has a lot of sideline savviness. This was very similar to the rushing touchdown that he had in Carolina the year before. And so he's put this on tape that he, will go to the sideline. He has the ability to keep plays alive. And this was just, with the game on the line, we're seeing fourth down, took care of it on his own. And you just love seeing that from the young quarterback. And here, this is the Superman play, really shades of Michael Vick here, but a couple of really nice things to start off. Kyle Pitts runs such a nice route that it just puts Levante David, future Hall of Famer, on his keister there. We love seeing that. And because Pitts is able to get so open, he's going to help influence Antoine Winfield Jr. just enough. You see Winfield took a step in towards Pitts, and that's able to help Penix slide in for the touchdown. And we're going to see this from another angle real quick, but you're going to see right here that Winfield takes a step towards Pitts, and that half second is enough to get Penix into the end zone. And this is just a fantastic job. This is just calling your own number here. We saw the pump fake. I think it's good to come off this. That's really tight coverage. You don't really have anything else you can go to on that side, so we're peeking back this way. We know that we have Pitts coming back. We know we've got Ray running across. Ray actually falls down here. But again, you see Pitts posted up. Winfield Jr. is looking worried about the threat. But Penix just is an athlete on this play. Reaches out. And we love seeing Kyle Pitts stay focused. Catch that ball in case it's a fumble. And and make one of the most impressive plays that we've seen, from a Falcons quarterback from an individual standpoint in a long time. And one of the other things that just makes that entire, I think final drive in the red zone from Penix so impressive is, when you listen to him post game, he has a real understanding of what's happening to him real time, and the looks that he's getting from the defense. And Michael Penix talked about it. They said that they started getting some more man looks, and he realized on that last drive that, he was going to have a couple of opportunities to take off. And he cashed in when he needed to, and really, just kind of shows you how, savvy he is already at this stage in his career. But again, all of this really goes back to show is that this is not a one-trick pony like a lot of people I think characterized him as at the beginning. Is this the next Lamar Jackson or anything like that? No, but Michael Penix does not need to be that. Michael Penix just needs to be Michael Penix, and Michael Penix is a above average mobile quarterback, has real sack avoidance. I think his core strength is very underrated. He's probably one of the strongest quarterbacks in the league right now, and so he is going to continue to get opportunities like this because his arm is such a threat. And I think that if he's able to be as calculated as he was in the Falcons' first week, that the offense is going to, continue to see some good results. Obviously, Atlanta wasn't able to win the game, but it's hard to put that on Penix. And we saw that, he put it all out there on the line and did everything that he could to bring his team the W. And I'm excited to see what he can do the rest of this year. And one thing we know for sure is that we're going to see him do some damage with his legs. And I'm excited to break down more Penix film as this season goes on. Thanks for checking in and watching this second episode of All Tre Phases.